Hello everyone! Today on Binky's Gaming Thoughts, I'm going to talk about Dragon Age 4 class and race-based character intros. So after the Q&A that I had regarding the question of what would I do if I were in charge of Dragon Age 4, at least for the story part of it, I gave a little bit more thought to it and some ideas came to mind about what I would do if I were in charge of the character intros. So let's get into it. Oh, right. By the way, today's hair and makeup is inspired by Cassandra. It's a green hair, long hair version of Cassandra. So the hair was the easy part. I don't know if you can see the braids that I did with the purple part of my hair actually. And I parted my hair on the side that I usually don't part it. It's kind of weird to kind of emulate how Cassandra has it. And I just put it in a bun, a nice fun bun. The makeup, I think the eyes I got pretty well, but the scar, I had trouble with the scar. I did it like, I don't know, a few times. I started it over. Anyway, I'm not a special effects makeup artist, so whatever. Okay, so character intros. How would I approach this? So everyone would start in Tevinter and actually in Minrathous. I'm going to start by mentioning what my basis is for each race and class, because the class has influence on this as well. And then I'm going to go into an outline of the story of what I would do. So start points, we have dwarf, rogue, or warrior, which would be a merchant. The elf, rogue, or warrior, which would be a maltreated slave. The elf mage would be a well-treated slave, a respected slave by his or her masters. A human rogue or warrior would be a lower class citizen, poor. Human mage, a magister. Kunari rogue or warrior, either we've already had the Ben Hasrath with Iron Bulls, so something similar to that, and Kunari mage, a Sarabas. Well, Binky, how does a Sarabas work? Well, let me tell you how a Sarabas could work. So let's start with that one, the Sarabas, the Kunari mage. So you'd start tied up in a room, alone, and suddenly your shackles undo. You still have chains around you, but you find yourself able to move and do as you please. Kunari enter the room and command you, only to be replied by a wheezing sound. Whatever allowed them to control you no longer controls you. So they try to kill you instead, and you fight them, obviously. You move through a series of rooms trying to understand what has happened and getting accustomed to your newfound freedom and fighting more Kunari, only because you want to stay alive. Finally, you arrive at an area where there are Vints. Oh, big surprise, we're in Tevinter. And in the area where there are Vints, you discover that they freed you. The Vints are the ones who freed you, but only so you can serve them. Some blood magic ritual is sort of underway and is part of what they're using to try to control you. And with this blood magic, the Vints want to be able to control you in ways in which the Kunari have never been able to control you. So you begin fighting them, only for chaos to ensue. Kunari and Tevinter alike both fighting you and fighting each other. So there's a series of fights, there's a series of cutscenes, some codex entries, you learn more, etc. You know, the usual fight cutscene codex, things like that. Then jump to a cutscene outside of this scene. with the Inquisitor, accompanied by Cassandra and Liliana. So for now, it's these two with the Inquisitor. And they're walking the streets of Minrathous. And they hear the commotion, so they investigate and are thrown into the chaos. So once the Qunari and Vince are defeated, you stop the Inquisitor and companions from killing you by briefly explaining what happened. So they identify themselves as non-hostiles, obviously. You admit that you like this newfound freedom when they ask you to join them as an ally into Vinter, but you mention that you will not bind yourself to an unjust cause. Is serving Thedas from a fate worse than the Blight a just cause? Asks the Inquisitor. Or something like that. So you agree, and your chains are removed, and anything that could have controlled you is destroyed. The way I see it would be that the first actual intro mission after the character intros would be going to the Archon's castle. And this mission would be the same for everyone. Fighting a secret group of Vince and defeating them would earn us favor with the Archon and an ally. Your character from now on is an ally and guide. And at the castle, something happening and you aid the Archon. So the goal is to seek a secret alliance with the Archon while later you become the new leader. But for now, you don't know what's happening. You don't know much. You'll learn as you'll go along. And eventually you'll become the new leader as the Inquisitor searches someone whom Solas does not know. I also think it would be interesting to have some sort of mid-game big reveal about our characters, sort of in a Knights of the Old Republic, Revan kind of way. But I don't know if it would make sense for it to be the same for everyone or for it to be different based on class and race. So that would be something interesting to explore. So moving on to similar to Ben Hasrath, Qunari Rogue or Warrior. You begin with an order note. So a note with commands from your leaders. So the order reads that you must find the elven slaves and offer them to join the Qun under your protection. Your mission note also states you can convert any Vint willing to go against a specific group of elite to Vinter Magisters. The same elite to Vinter Magisters who, if you're a Sarabas, were trying to control you with blood magic. Following those orders, you find a place where several slaves are being held for a blood ritual. You fight the Vints, not the same blood ritual. You fight the Vints, and there are several fights with several rooms to explore, information about this group to be found, and what their purpose is. Finally, you free all the slaves and offer them protection under the Qun. Some accept, others flee. Cutscene to the Inquisitor. Similar to the other scene, except the Inquisitor doesn't jump into the fray to fight with you. The Inquisitor just is walking in the streets of Minrathous. Then you exit with the slaves, the freed slaves, and come face to face with the Inquisitor. You tell the elves where to go, and you face the Inquisitor alone. You basically tell them you know who they are. Now this is where it gets interesting. We have Scenario A and Scenario B. Scenario A, you tell them you remember how they honored their alliance with the Qunari people. The Inquisitor rebuttals that the Qunari broke that alliance when they attacked the Winter Palace and the Vendala ordered the Inquisitor dead. Scenario B, for that little section, you tell them that you remember how they had their chance at an alliance with the Qunari people and they threw it away. The Inquisitor rebuttals, asking, would the Qunari truly have honored it, or would they have had given the order to have the Inquisitor killed anyway? In both scenarios, the Inquisitor asks if you remember the agent of Fen'Harel. Do you still want to stop him? We are here because we wish to stop him. The Inquisitor notices a dropped note, and you have info that could help the Inquisitor, as well as the Inquisitor might have info that might help you. So for now, a temporary truce is proposed where the Inquisitor offers you protection into Vinter, since you're the Vint's enemy as being a Qunari, and you admit that they outnumber you. So, you accept the offer. We as Qunari rogues and warriors accept the offer. Of course, later you become friends of them and a part of the mission, and it can offer some nice nuances. Next class and race, a Magister, human mage. So you have been invited to an exclusive party. So you go, but when you get there, you realize that you've been deceived. The other Vints who invited you are part of that secret group, the secret group of elite magisters, and they lure you in. When you realize you're walking into a trap, they stop pretending and accuse you of all sorts. This is where we as gamers would find out in a cutscene from them, the way they talk to you, that you are close pals with Dorian. And they want to get at him indirectly. Obviously, they oppose him, and there are fight scenes and cutscenes and sequences as you try to learn more about this elite group. Cutscene to the Inquisitor walking outside. Doop, 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 doop. Walks in to our aid when noticing the racket going on and decides to investigate. And they notice you being cornered, so they help you out. The Inquisitor helps you out. Good gamble. We are all Magisters here, but they are crazy. I am not. That would be a funny line. A Dorian type of line. We'd recognize the Inquisitor and reference Dorian. The Inquisitor and company would mention they seek a guide and ally, and similar scene as previously seen. Similar scene as previously seen. And you join together. Lower class citizen, human rogue or warrior. You try to sell your goods and services, but are in competition with slaves. And this we learned through a cutscene with some family members, siblings and cousins with whom you live, trying to make ends meet together. So you live in the slums, you're poor. You are interrupted by sounds from another room. When you investigate, you find an elf who looks like a slave, stealing. Caught and cornered, they tell you their master sent them. Digging for more information, you find out some of the goods you make are required for a special ritual. And they couldn't come and buy it and pay for it. No, they had to steal. They had to send their slaves to steal it. They wanted it for free, and you can proclaim this. But this slave was followed and gave too much away, so is killed. And you are faced with a group who suddenly pops into the scene, a group of Vint mages, blood mages no less, as they use the dead slave to summon demons. So you fight them, obviously, but more keep coming. And one by one, your siblings and cousins fall and are in turn transformed into demons, which you have to fight until only you are left. Only we, the player, are left. Cutscene with the Inquisitor, similar. Here's the racket going on, the fighting,
enters, finishes off the mages before you are actually turned into a demon. So you thank the Inquisitor, pointing out that you would have been turned into a demon had they not come to your aid, as were your family. And you were forced to destroy your family as demons. You share this with the Inquisitor. And you fall to your knees, realizing you are alone and you have lost everything and everyone. The Inquisitor invites you to join a new family, knowing it won't replace your real one, but that you can have a place with them if you want, explaining about needing a guide into winter and whatnot. So obviously you accept and want to show the Inquisitor gratitude for saving you. The Inquisitor tells you you owe us nothing, and what we offer is friendship. Yay! That's always fun. And then the rest would proceed as the other scenes, going to the Archon's castle. Next class and race, respected mage, elf mage. So you begin with your masters telling you how something seems amiss with another family whom they know. And since they need to bring something to them, they send you. Well, us. It fits since you're the slave. But at the same time, they trust you to spy and investigate. You dress like a peasant and keep your magic hidden. This suspicious family would be unsuspecting. The ones on whom you'd be spying would be unsuspecting. So you depart and arrive at that family's estate, delivering this artifact or whatever it is, and you look around. You act ready to serve, humble, and willing to bring this fragile piece to its devoted place of keeping so that they don't have to do it themselves, as you are there to serve after all. So you walk around the house and you uncover secrets and such, and you're sneaking around. What could go wrong? You're caught out. Right when they think they have you, though, you fight back with your magic. So there's a sequence of fights. Of course, this follows the same theme, fights, cutscenes. You learn that this family is part of that elite group of Vince. That theme of Blood Mage Vince that's following in all the intros. Cutscene to the Inquisitor. And here's the racket, investigates, helps you. So you bid them welcome after recognizing them and let them know, when asked, that you were investigating for your masters, that what you found is alarming. The Inquisitor notices that you speak very highly of your masters, and you admit that you and your masters regard each other with respect. You tell the Inquisitor that they entrust you with a mission. If the mission requires you to join the Inquisitor, then you know that they will trust you to make the right decision in that regard. So this is when the Inquisitor asks if you'd like to join this cause and if your master would agree to it. So you see it as part of the mission and agree to aid the Inquisitor for the time being, which of course ends up being permanently. A quick thought I had about character creation. It would be, in my opinion, better to do all the character creation at the same time. Obviously, if there are, if Hawk secretly pops up out of nowhere, then like in Inquisition, we do the Hawk creation later. But since the Inquisitor in this, if it would be this, I would have it be you create your character and then you create the Inquisitor. Like that, you don't have your intro and then you don't have to do another character creation right in the cutscene, right in the heat of the moment. It would kind of break away from the story, you detach from the story. So to really immerse us into the story, create the character, create the Inquisitor, boom, story, full on. Next class, maltreated slave, elf, rogue, or warrior. You begin in the house of your masters, clearly being mistreated and verbally abused. It becomes apparent that they are expecting an important guest. And you are preparing everything. You are to prepare everything. Now get this. The guest who arrives is none other but the Inquisitor and company, to whom your masters reached out when they found out, after spying, he or she was in Tevinter. But as you prepare things in other rooms and overhear only segments of the conversation, you uncover that it's a trap. It's a trap! And your masters are part of that elite group. So you get caught. Fighting breaks out. Sequence of fights, cutscenes. The Inquisitor overhears. You manage to fight your way to the room where the Inquisitor is. And you warn them. In front of your masters, you warn them. And you tell them the truth, obviously betraying your masters. Well, not that you were really betraying them, because you were slaves, not like you were in an alliance per se. There's more fighting, and then to proceed with the Inquisitor inviting you to serve them, but not as a slave, as an ally and guide, to which you agree. And lastly, merchant, dwarf, rogue, or warrior. You begin at your merchant stand. A sign reads, Fade-touched and Lyrium-touched weapons and runes. So that's what you sell. Well, we. You're closing shop and right away thrown into the fray as a mysterious group of covertly dressed bandits, well, they look like bandits, start to steal your wares and they pin you down. You fight back and try to salvage whatever you can. You kill some of your assailants and others escape. You go after them. You find more and kill more. Finally, while searching for the rest of them, you are cornered. They corner you. And they tell you that you messed with the wrong group and you should have just let them get away with it. Let them get away with your wares. As they go to kill you, cutscene to the Inquisitor, who obviously jumps in to save the day. After the fight, you complain while retrieving some runes from the dead bodies that they took some of your best stuff. And it'll cost you a fortune to, make up for this loss, to replace any of it. So when asked, you explain how after being castless, you came to the service to sell things. You used to be a lyrium miner, and now you sell fade-touched and lyrium-touched things. The Inquisitor ponders the possibility that some of your rare stock might have magical properties and asks you to join and help in return for them to help find your things and maybe uncover the truth of potentially some of your things having this fade-touched and lyrium-touched runes that the blood mages might need in their weapons in order to succeed in their weird rituals. So you agree to help the Inquisitor. They're going to help you find out who did this, and you agree to act as their ally and guide into Tevinter. And obviously, eventually, you will become the leader of the group and probably find what these Vents stole from you. So obviously, this follows a theme that I would incorporate if I were the one writing these. So obviously, this is basic outlines. If I were to actually write this out, I'd do a more elaborate outline and then write it out in screenplay format. So, but this gives you an idea. If I were in charge, this is what I would do. It's fan fiction. It's fun to explore. Let me know what some of your thoughts would be. What class and races you would have. Like what type of character you'd have for each specific class and race. Do you agree? Would
would you find it interesting to be a Sarabas? I mean, for me personally, I like the Sarabas idea because we've never had that before. We've never seen that as a character. It would be, it would be something different, obviously. In my ideas, I tried to incorporate scenarios for the specific class and races that we know that we've never seen before. So the Sarabas, the Magister, we've never played a slave before. So I tried to incorporate that aspect to make it different, or incorporating sort of an origins style of intro. In Inquisition, we were right away thrown into it, not much backstory for our characters. In Origins, I liked the cutscenes. I liked how we learned a bit about our character through that intro. And with something like this, with cutscenes, we could really learn more backstory of our character, and through codex entries that we would find, codex and the cutscenes, learn more about our character before the actual first base intro mission that would be the same for everyone. And so it would be easier for us to be attached to our characters, in my opinion. Obviously, I do get attached to the Inquisitor, I do get attached to Hawk and to the Warden, but it's all in very different ways. And so I think with more elaborate introductions, it would allow us to attach ourselves to the characters even more, and it would incorporate the Inquisitor in an interesting kind of way. But let me know how you would do it. Let me know what your thoughts are, because I'm curious to know. And obviously, like this video if you like it. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Hit the bell icon for notifications. You can also follow me on Twitter at BinkyProd. And I'll see you all soon with some more tarot card analyses. Masaranas. Be sure to check out some of my other stuff, and remember to buy video games at a discounted price and support me at no additional cost to you. Just follow my G2A affiliate link. You can also join in on the fun on Patreon for some exclusive content. Thanks for tuning in.